Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Dr. Glenn Vo. I am super excited to have a friend on here, someone that a lot of you guys know. It is Dr. Jeremy Krell, founder, main man over at Revere Partners. Jeremy, what's up, man?
Hey, Glenn, really excited to be here. Really excited to talk about different dental tech investment opportunities and unique and creative structures that can help you invest your money into dental technology and be diversified.
Well, we're going to dive right into it because you just kind of pretty much laid out what we wanted to talk about. Look, there's so many investment opportunities. Look, Jeremy, you're in the same circles I am. You're on social media as well. You're at dental meetings, and people are always talking about what's another way for me to kind of grow my wealth or get more income out of the dental practice, out of the op, without these two hands here, right? And so a lot of times people talk about real estate investing, they talk about stocks, and they talk about investing in other practices. But there is something that I'm really big in because I've been a part of it before and I'm trying to get in more involved, and that is investing in dental companies, right? I've done it before, I've gone through an exit. Jeremy, you help people not only get investors, but you help people invest as well. So, talk to everyone who's watching this right now who might not understand that this is actually a viable method to investment, and that is investing in dental companies, investing in dental technology.
Yeah, look, Glenn, you and I and our networks were cut from the same cloth, right? We're often told by our CPAs or CFAs, which neither you nor I are, but we're also told by them as the people we rely on, invest in stocks, bonds, real estate, mutual funds, CDs, right? A lot of the same stuff. Each of those are different, and I'm not going to argue the bond market with anybody, right? These are good investments to be a part of, right? But they are not putting money back into the dental industry. They are not investing in things that we all inherently know and know well. And they are not taking things that we otherwise would consider in our dental practices as expenses or depreciating assets and turning them into something where we can actually capture value, right? That's what this is about. Revere has built its platform to not only be used for its own purposes as a venture capital fund, but now, as you mentioned, to help others and other groups be able to make these investments more readily, more easily by reducing some of the friction points and barriers throughout the process, right? So really what this structure is allowing individual investors or entities, right, be able to pool an investment, pool individual invested amounts into one vehicle. We call them special purpose vehicle, one entity. That entity's sole goal in its existence and in its life is to invest into a dental technology company, one single company, right? We call it a single asset SPV or special purpose vehicle. So that is the platformization that we have made openly available to you and to Doc and to your network, right? In order to make this a smooth process for really, really top companies, right? Top investment opportunities, and for investors to be able to come in, have an easy, compliant experience that allow for, if you've done it more than once, one-click investing.
I love that. I love that. Now, before we go into the specifics, because I know a lot of people are listening and watching right now, they're like, okay, that sounds really good. But Jeremy, other than, us seeing you speak at different events and, get on different podcasts and hanging out with me and taking pictures with all of us, what have you done? What's your experience like? So let's go ahead and establish that right now, because this is not your first rodeo. We didn't bring you on here as, hey, Jeremy, help me create a fund to invest in companies. No, you actually done this before. Do you mind just kind of sharing, your whole experience here about, allowing dental professionals to invest but also helping companies on the other side find right investors? Can you just talk about some of the projects you've been a part of, and so that all our listeners and viewers can understand that, hey, you've done this before, you like doing this, and you have the connections to really help us out.
Absolutely. Yeah, of course. Let's talk about the track record and the performance. So I've been doing this for about 15 to 20 years. First, I did it personally and through my own organizations, and then at Revere. So I think personally and prior to Revere, I'm in about 40 different dental technology, and startup related companies or entities. And then with Revere, we're also in about 40 right at the moment.
Wow.
I think 39 investments by the end of the first quarter here, probably 42. I think it'll finish the first quarter at. If you then count what we call our syndicate at Revere, which is the housing of all of these individual investments or SPVs, then there's probably dozens more that sit in the syndicate, right? Let me give you an example of an investment, right? So a company like Keystone Bio, this is a startup that we sourced, diligenced, and ultimately decided to invest in. High level, because it's not about Keystone Bio, but high level, the company has created, in case any of you are interested, a potential treatment modality to eradicate P. gingivalis, right? Treating something like periodontitis from the standpoint of a medicament. That company wanted to raise money, not only from funds, but also from strategic individuals in the space. So we had a sponsor, one particular person decided to stand up and help that company raise, meaning expose the deal to their network. We created this SPV once there was committed interest. And then all of those investors put their money into this single entity, and that single entity went and invested in the company Keystone Bio, right? Along that process, multiple things are happening. First of all, it's a major benefit for the startup because instead of having 30, 50 individual plus names on their cap table, which is a real problem for them, they get just one line item, right? One SPV, big benefit for them, right? In addition, it has the flexibility of investing on any common VC investment term. So if you're worried, there's anything like a SAFE or a convertible note or a direct equity investment and all the terms that go along with, same rules apply here, right? You can do it with an SPV. It's no different, right, than if you invest individually. And also, every single person is getting KYC, know your customer, and accreditation check. So everything is compliant. All the right forms with the SEC and regulators are being automatically filed. And on top of that, you get a digital platform that shows you all of the investments where your dollars have been put, your pro rata share or dollar amount in each one of them, any distributions, and we can talk about this a little bit later, how money flows back to you is automatically tracked and automated through the platform. And then any tax documentation that you're going to need to file each year.
And that's huge right there. That's huge, right?
That's right.
Getting the tax document. And again, for those who are listening right now who have been part of different investments, whether it be real estate, stocks, or whatnot, getting like that K1, right, from some of your investments, and your CPA is like pulling their hair out because they're just taking their sweet time to get a K1. There's none of that foolishness over here because Jeremy has like a platform that's all buttoned up here. Now, I want to point something out. Yes.
One thing just before you go on, if you're thinking of, or if you've had experience doing this individually, you individually invest in a company, which maybe you've thought about or maybe you've done before, right? Then on top of that, on top of all the things you and I just mentioned, that's also you tracking the company down individually to get the information in order to be able to create the K1 with your own personal accountant, right? So there's a level of services and time and cost that goes into just that automation that happens right there.
Now we just talked about some of the things that your experience on the investment side. I want to bring this back to the fact that Jeremy is like one of us. He's a dental professional. He's a dentist as well. Okay, so again, can you just talk about your dental career, because I think that's really important, because it's not like talking to someone who's just trying to get your investment dollars or trying to talk, like, this is actually a fellow dentist who understands pretty much what happens in our practice, our concerns, and some of the challenges we have as dentists who are trying to work in our practice, where we're trying to side gig out our way to doing all these things. So just talk about your experience as a clinician, Jeremy.
Yeah, I've sort of had a dual career track, if you will, Glenn. So first of all, I come from the dental clinical world. I've had just about a decade of clinical practice experience. I've had it in small practices. I've had it in some groups. I've been a part of some of the transactions that have happened and growth that have happened with those groups, right? So I come from the world of practicing general dentistry, of practicing some of the specialty procedures as a general dentist, on practicing in various populations and different payer mixes, different states and cities, right? I have had the experience of being in clinical care, which shed light on an investment process like this, right? And I suggest that, if you are considering doing this individually, or if you've ever done this, or looked at doing this with another group, you should really hard screen who it is that's helping you to do it,
Yeah.
right? Somebody who may have been involved in the industry side of dentistry, but without the clinical experience, or somebody who's coming as a total outsider to the industry. These can be major risk factors, and just the deals that are coming up in front of you, how they're diligenced, and how you plan to not only invest in them, but help them after your investment, right? So combined with my clinical path, I've also had a startup career as a former founder, former operator, right? So I understand the grit that it takes, the red flags that you can see when things get off the roads. And these are the things that we diligence for in the process, right? So you'll expect to hear these things from us when we introduce deals to you, or through Glenn, through Doc, this network, right? You can expect that they're not only coming from a clinician, but they're coming from folks who have been former founders and former operators of startups, right? Bringing to you all of those diverse experiences in one bundled opportunity.
That is so important. I'm so glad that you said that, because again, there's a company that very clinically based. I'm not gonna have any spoilers out there, but again, if Jeremy didn't have that experience in the clinic, and they're making different claims and they're talking about different things, if he didn't have that experience, then he would basically be flying blind. But the fact that he was a practicing clinician, the fact that he's been on founding groups, the fact that he's been on this side, it gives him a lot of experience. And at the end of the day, guys, I mean, you can learn all these things, right? You could, talk to Jeremy. He teaches me a whole bunch of stuff all the time, and I just look at him and say, "Hey, look, Jeremy, I'll just let you handle that. You're the expert in that. I'll just trust you on that end." But he's an open book here. But the thing is at the end of the day, as dentists, right, we're really busy trying to grow our practices, trying to take care of our patients. We want to get involved, right, with these dental companies. And I say, if you're getting into real estate, that's great. I do real estate. If you're getting into, different stocks and whatnot, crypto, whatever it is, hey, I've been all part of that. That's great and all. But at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, are you an expert? Do you know more about those industries than you do in dentistry? Probably not. So when you're thinking about investing in companies that you understand, dental companies you got half the battle won right there. You're a dentist, right? The other half is if you're working with someone like with Jeremy and Revere, and they're vetting and they're making sure that these companies are financially sound and have a good product. That's the other half right there. Okay, so we're gonna switch gears right here, because this is the big elephant in the room. And people are like, okay, well, how's this set up? How much money do I gotta drop here? What does that look like? There's different deals, there's different requirements, whatnot. But Jeremy, can you just give us like the high level overview of how these deals and how dentists who invest, how do they get the return, all that stuff? Give us like a high level overview here.
Yeah, absolutely. So happy to do that, Glenn. Each investor will put their money into the SPV, as we discussed. Minimums can be set by various parties throughout the process. They might be set by the network that's bringing you the deal. They may be set by the fund itself. In our case, we've built technology and process that's pretty flexible. Or they might be set by the target company that's receiving the investment. The great thing is that even if they have a minimum for individual investors, you're not necessarily subject to that coming through an SPV, because we're pooling your investment together with other people, right? So the beauty in that is the flexibility with things like the investment amount, right? So let's just say they normally require 25 or 50 or 100K from an individual investor, 200K, right? But you don't have to necessarily meet that, because combined together, you may be way more than that. Right. So that's one thing that's really important to understand. The upside benefit is the collective bargaining you bring together. By many of you joining and investing in a particular entity through this SPV, the bigger and bigger it gets with more and more strategic components to it, the more valuable that is to the company, right? Their valuation goes up if you all use the product. Therefore, they become more willing to give you favorable terms on the investment. And of course, Revere, its brand, in our ability to negotiate these deals, will also help you to get the best deal, right? So know that you're getting a good deal. Mechanically, what will happen is when a deal is chosen, you'll receive information about that deal, right? You'll see from our investment team who have done diligence on that. You'll receive a memo. They're variable lengths. They're typically at least 3 pages, 3 to 5 pages. It can be upwards of 10 or more pages, right? This is information that's looking at their deck. It's looking at their financials, their model, their projections, and their historicals, right? And performance. It's looking at their data rooms, right? It's doing research against our own benchmarks and comparables, which Revere has housed for the past 4+ years, right? And giving you a summation of that in a digestible format for you to be able to make an informed decision about that company. So the first thing is you get an introduction to the deal, the opportunity with some information about it. You're able to ask any questions that you need or want. But once you've committed, then you'll send us your contact information along with your committed amount. This will enable us to issue you a custom invitation to join this opportunity. The first time you'll set up an account on our investor platform, get yourself accredited, et cetera. But after that, you skip that entire process. You simply log in. And then you'll be able to, wire your money to your account, and that money will then be deployed directly into and through this SPV into the target company. The way returns work, right? This is an illiquid investment. So this money is going into the startup, and then the startup is going to perform over the next, and it can vary depending on type and stage of startup, but over the next several years, it's going to perform. And then there's going to be an exit opportunity. Exit's a broad word. We can come back to that, but essentially a distribution at some point, and typically at a major financial event for the company, is going to happen. When that happens and investors, including you, get paid back, then that money is going to flow automatically through our platform, and your share of it is going to go directly back to you, to your account on our platform. You'll be able to cash it out just as if you do on something like Venmo or any kind of online wallet, right back into your bank account, right? So the more you do this, the more exit events, distributions, checks that you get, right? Coming back to you at the end. We can talk, Glenn, about performance metrics. We can talk a little bit about more different types of exit opportunities. You let me know.
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, that's pretty straightforward here. And again, for those who are just listening right now, look, I want to let you know that every deal is going to be different, right? Every company is going to be different. The great thing about this is, I'll put this very bluntly, I get to hear about these deals all the time. Me and Jeremy have a great relationship. He knows what I can bring to the table. So a lot of times companies are looking for someone like me to invest. And I talked to Jeremy. I said, hey, look, me and Doc, we really want to get this to the rest of our community. I want to bring in all these other dental professionals. And that's actually, Jeremy was like, this is actually something I've been working towards ever since I started Revere, is I wanted to get more dentists involved. And so essentially, this is the opportunity, guys, right? Now, is every deal going to make sense to everyone? Probably not. Just like every real estate deal doesn't make sense to you, and any stock doesn't make, not every stock's going to make sense to you. But now you have that opportunity, and you have that opportunity working with someone like Jeremy, who's been doing this for a while. So with that being said, there's going to be a lot of things coming in the pipeline. I'm so excited about it. There's going to be opportunities. We're going to talk about some companies that, man, Jeremy has told me about that. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. I want to get the dental professionals. And now he's like, look, we're going to bring it to the dental community. So with that being said, Jeremy, can you just explain like how the whole process works, right? So again, I'm going to let the community know about some of these companies, and you have a unique way of setting things up, possibly a webinar or something like that. Talk about like what are like the next steps once we kind of like tell the dental community about these deals. What are like the next steps for everyone to get involved?
Yeah, no spoiler alerts because I don't want to steal thunder.
Yeah,
but you're
no, don't
see...
do that. I know some of the companies. I'm like, Jeremy, don't say it. I want to let everyone know. But once we do, talk about some of those companies and whatnot, everyone's gonna be like, okay, I want to invest. And well, that's where I'm working with Jeremy. He's the expert on that. But what's the normal workflow after that? Once I let everyone know what these opportunities are.
Yeah, so exactly. You're going to get a couple of really great opportunities coming down the pipeline. These are real. These are in the process right now between Glenn, Doc, myself, and Revere. They've been vetted. I want you to know, out of a large set of startups, we've, believe it or not, seen over 900, just about 1,000 dental technology startups apply to us for funding. These are highly vetted, not just in the depth of diligence that we've gone on the companies that are going to be selected to bring in front of you, but they're also out of a large pool of investments, right? This is a very selective set of criteria criteria to bring this to you. We first enter in the educational phase, right? We want you to be comfortable with the deal. We want you to think about that relationship in the course of your professional life and practice. And it doesn't mean you have to be using this thing necessarily to invest in it. You just need to see the opportunity that's there for the company as an investment for you, right? But think about that building value with these things in your practice or other practices. Think about that transactional relationship that you have with these types of technologies and how it might be good to capture the upside of them. So you're going to get educational materials in a few different formats. There'll be webinar opportunities. So you're going to have real learning opportunities to hear about these companies and uncover, look below the hood, right? Get an idea on an investment level of what that company is about, what they're building from a product or technology side, how they've been historically performing, what they're projecting to be. That will be all brought to you in a really kind of, I'd say, conversational, interactive modality. You'll then also have the written materials. We require this as part of the process. You'll get that memo that I referred to before. There may be other materials on a deal-by-deal basis available. There'll certainly be what we call a deal page that you'll be able to revisit and look at information about that deal. So rest assured, you're going to be getting multiple interaction points and abilities to learn about that company. Ultimately, we then move into the commitment phase. This is where you say, I'm interested in this company. I want to invest in this company. You're writing your name down and you're putting an amount. Now, it's still not binding at that phase, right? But we really want you to, if you're going to put your name down, we really want you to be serious about that deal, right? So that we can then adequately set up the next steps, which from there, you go into the investment process. Right. So there's the educational process, the commitment process. Now we're in the investment process. This is where you're actually receiving a link to that vehicle, right? You're creating your account. If you don't already have one, you are connecting your bank account and sending the money, right? This is where you'll be able to actually invest. And then we go into, last and not least, the closing process. Our team will take back over, make sure everything is in line from a legal standpoint, from a technical investment standpoint, and we will close the deal, right? Close the vehicle, close investing opportunities, move the money into the startup, signing all the investment documents, and you'll, of course, be notified that the investment has closed, your money is with the company, the terms are set. Right. We then, last but not least, move into the engagement phase. And this is the super exciting part, because engaging with real estate or bonds or something else, do you go visit the real estate sites that you've invested in? I highly doubt you're going to visit that residential or commercial real estate site if it's anything like my investments, right? Instead, here you actually then get to engage, right? It's time to help the startup grow now that you own a piece of it. Right? In your practice, in others' practices, there's all kinds of benefits, from advice to actually hands-on help that you can bring. And rest assured, we're going to make sure that you have interaction points with these companies, because that's the fun part. That's the cool part. You actually get to touch and feel this thing that you now own a piece of. So Glenn, that's the process, soup to nuts.
I'll have to say that that engagement process, that part, like as dental professionals, like we actually have more power to help our investments at that point. Think about it. Like, okay, let's say like you invested in Tesla or something like that, right? Well, I mean, yeah, you can buy a Tesla. I mean, you could tell your friends to buy a Tesla. But at the end of the day, what you're doing is just like a speck in the company's success, right? There's so many other factors, right? When it comes to dental, right? Let's say a new treatment modality, right? Something like that. And getting the name out, getting the word out, getting your friends involved. You actually have more power in the success of this in dentistry, because yes, dental industry is big, but really it's actually small. And that's what's so exciting about this, that we all can come together, right? And not only be users ourselves of that particular product, but also influence others and say, hey guys, you should check this out. I like it so much, I put money behind it. That's like what I'm so excited about. And I think it's so exciting for the dental companies as well. Yeah, you guys have to understand this. They can get funding in other places for most part, but they want funding through us, and they want to work with Revere, right? Like they understand the power there. And I want you guys to understand the power here. So out of all the things that you can invest, you actually have like a lot more hands-on ability with these type of investments with Revere. So I just wanted to drop that right there. So Jeremy, I just wanted to get you on here and talk to everyone. For those who okay, they like to do the research, because you know how dentists are, right? We're like, okay, we like to stock things. We like to I want to know this guy's background, all that. For those who want to dive a little bit deeper about Revere and Jeremy Krill and whatnot, what's the best place for them there to do their little due diligence before they start hearing all the deals we're bringing up to them?
Absolutely. We encourage this. We are, fully transparent with anybody who invests in either our fund or in any of our SPV type opportunities. We encourage you to visit our website, reverepartnersvc.com. We encourage individual investments, but also individual touch points with each and every investor. We have a fully staffed investor relations team. So you'll hear and see from not only our investment team that are bringing you these deals and diligence, but you'll also hear from our fundraising and investor relations team. So my counterparts on our team are Richie, who leads our investment team, and that'll be the diligence side. You'll also hear from Imi, who leads our fundraising and investor relations team. Any of the three of us will make ourselves available for any individual, questions, conversations that's globally about, overall the opportunity or about any individual investment that comes up. We want to make sure that you have that help throughout the process. If you want to dive deeper, if you have questions that aren't covered or something that you're wondering, please ask. We encourage that level of communication, and we most certainly will be responsive.
Well, I will say this has been a long time coming. Me and Jeremy have been talking about this for a long time. We just had to make sure the stars aligned, but also we had a good group of businesses and companies that could use our help, but also wants to give us the opportunity to invest in them. So I'm really excited about this. Jeremy, thank you so much for jumping on. Guys, stay tuned. We're going to talk about some of these companies coming up pretty soon. Me and Doc, we're going to do it in our respective groups. And then we're going to come together. Jeremy and his team are going to have webinars, get all these questions we have answered, and talk about the opportunity. It's exciting times for us, guys. Exciting time to be a dentist. Jeremy, thank you so much for jumping on. Guys, we'll see you next time.